Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this presentation for 8th grade business leadership. This will serve as your official introduction to the class. Now, if you're in the classroom with Mr. C and you're watching this video, there are points that Mr. C is going to stop Mr. C from talking, right? And he's going to be asked to stop and go over some information, so on and so forth. However, if you are someone who is joining the class a little bit later in the quarter, whether it's a week later or a few days after this video, then just follow through with the video and just watch it and be introduced to the class and what have you. And if you have any questions, Mr. C will get right with you. All right. Like how I refer to myself in the third person like that. Well, there you go. All righty. So a little bit about the class itself. Let's get this thing started here. Right. All righty. Let's move to the next slide. If it'll let me move to the next slide. There it goes. An overview. All right. So again, this is Introduction to Business Leadership Skills. Is this business leadership skills? No, it's an introduction to, okay? So in other words, it's going to be very difficult to teach middle schoolers all about business and the skills you need for business, whether that's personal business or general business, right, or big business, okay, in the course of just a few months to get together. In other words, just a semester, all right? Even people who graduate with a Master's of Business Administration or MBA don't know everything about business, right? And every situation is different. People are still learning. Even this guy is still constantly learning about business, right? And applying new things and looking at changes and analyzing, so on and so forth, right? So this is just an introduction to kind of get you started, all righty? We're going to build upon basic business skills, okay? So basic business skills in this sense means that, hey, and for middle schoolers, okay, we're looking at like personal business transactions. You also got business transactions, whether small business or big business. We're going to talk about the differences, right? And then, of course, the skills needed within those businesses, whether you're talking about your personal transactions or your personal business, or you're talking about business transactions, again, in small or big business. We're going to talk about written communication skills, right? Because we're good with our talking skills for the most part by the time that we hit middle school, right? With some tweaks and things that are needed here and there, but we can at least communicate our ideas effectively, right? But written communication is still an important part of how we deliver our information, okay? Believe it or not, writing is still a big part in certain businesses and certain areas. And if you don't believe me, okay, think about a mechanic or a technician who has to write about what was done on a customer's vehicle, right? So that's something that has to be communicated in writing. And of course, we have presentation skills. Now, I'm not talking about just getting in front of people or recording a video and presenting information and public speaking, although that's definitely a part of it, okay? But we're talking about how you present yourself. How do you present the way that you will do business, right? Those are the presentation skills that we're going to address and look at over the course of this classroom. All righty. And then, of course, you have a chance to develop the attributes or characteristics that are helpful towards maybe your future goals or academic goals and careers, okay? Look, let's be honest, okay? There are those in this classroom and those who are watching this video right now who are going to get to high school and decide that maybe they don't want to go to college, okay? And they want to start going out and getting into the career world and maybe be a welder or a technician or maybe be an aircraft mechanic or maybe an auto mechanic or a construction worker. Cool. All right. More power to you, right? But you're still going to need some skills that help make you a better worker. And so this class is, of course, filled with those who are going to go to community college and maybe go to a 4-year university and get a 4-year degree and go to the workaday world. Great. So there are some of those classrooms who are going to go and get maybe a law degree and get their Juris Doctorate or get their master's degree or get their doctorate's degree, right? And of course, we're going to talk about that, right? This class is for everyone. I don't care who you are. And I will go ahead and apply this information for everybody and give different perspectives throughout the course of the classroom, all right? And of course, as I said earlier, and I apologize for the camera being in the way, we're going to create an introductory knowledge of general business. We're going to look at entrepreneurship, and of course, what people think of as leadership. Of course, I do want to challenge the idea of leadership. Leadership is not what we think of in high school when you're in preschool. Maybe if you were in preschool or you're in kindergarten, you played follow the leader. All right. That's not what leadership is. Okay. You're just leading a line of people. Okay. Leadership is a whole lot more than that. And leadership is a whole lot more than just bossing people around and telling them what you want. Okay. In fact, I would argue that, hey, if your idea of leadership is drinking coffee, sitting in your desk, barking orders at people, and surfing the internet, that's probably not a good leader, all right? You're more of a boss than a leader, all right? So there we go. Let's go ahead and take care of the next slide for this overview here. We're going to develop problem solving and observational skills needed for personal business and for the workplace, all right? Problem-solving skills. Look, when you get to the work world, they're not going to present you a piece of paper with a word problem on there. It says, all right, Jennifer has 8 bananas. Alan has 4 apples. How many oranges can they buy if apples are $1 a pair? No, that's not the problems we're talking about. All right. What I'm talking about is how you're going to deal with difficult situations. How you're going to deal with, okay, you've been tasked to do something and all the things aren't there as you need it. What do you need to make this happen? Okay. And that goes for our personal business and for our workplace transactions. Okay. You see me using this word transactions a lot. A transaction means, hey, somebody gives you something, somebody asks you to do something, and maybe you do it. Okay. Or you want something and then you get something back, and maybe there's an exchange or something like that, okay? Those are transactions that we need. Every time you do something, it's a transaction, okay? So, there you go. You're also going to utilize and develop interpersonal skills needed for the general workforce. Our interpersonal skills are the things that make us hireable and desirable and allows us to get along with a group setting or in a place of work, or maybe if you're dealing with customers. And if you don't think you're dealing with customers, okay, think about a plumber, thinking about an electrician, think about a cable installer, or the DSL guys who come out and service people's internet, right? You're dealing with customers, okay? And even if you're a plumber, you're still going to be in people's houses, you're still going to be representing other companies, even if you're working for yourself. Okay, even in construction, you got your coworkers, you got the foreman, so on and so forth. Okay, so you're going to be dealing with people. All right, so how you interact with them is really, really, really important, and we're going to hone in on that. And of course, we're looking at making our next steps in the words careers. There again, I apologize for camera placement. I chose the bottom right-hand side for the camera here because there will be less. I could get the idea across as opposed to the title. The title is important, so you can see the information that's on there. You get the idea. All right, let's go ahead and let's do this. Before I get to this section right here, I'm going to take a quick timeout. And there's been a video that's been playing in the background here, but there's actually a lot of information. I'm in front of it, right? So you can't really see it, So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick time out here and show you this video and integrate that into the video presentation that I have here for you, and then I'll catch back with you here in a few moments. All right, so with the video that you just saw, or that little portion in mind, all right, let's think about a couple ideas here, all right? The purpose of this slide and this information right here is not to brag. I'm not much into bragging, and quite frankly, this guy doesn't need to brag, okay? Because, for various reasons, all right? And so I don't need to brag to a bunch of, and no offense by this, but students in the classroom, okay? However, here's an idea for you. If I was just notified that I was being sued by a business or by a person, okay, would it be smarter for me to go and talk to the guy at the fast food counter, okay, and tell him about the suit or her about the suit, or to go and consult a person who has a Juris Doctorate degree, is practicing law, and specializes in the field in which I'm being sued for? If you're going, yeah, go talk to the lawyer, you're right. Now, occasionally we get that student who goes, well, what if that person behind the fast food counter is working on their law degree? Are they practicing law? Do they have the experience for that? Are they a lawyer? If the answer is no, then you're better off consulting the other guy, okay? The qualifications are higher, right? So you want to do that same thing here, right? So if you're going to learn about business, okay, you don't want to learn about business from somebody who maybe just went to college and hasn't run a business before, or isn't running a business, or hasn't advised people, or doesn't have business and working experience, right? Because honestly, that's what this class is. It's part of career tech education. Okay? And I am a unique teacher in that I had a career before I went and received my college education. I'll talk more about that one-on-one at a later date. Okay? So I have a unique perspective compared to various or other maybe teachers. Doesn't mean I'm better than other teachers. And I'm not saying that. I just have a unique perspective. Okay? Because quite frankly, we have some really good teachers here at LCMS, right? So a little bit about Mr. C here. Alrighty. So first thing, I have sold retail items and have been in professional sales. Retail items means you go to like Best Buy and you buy something, right? And the company that I started selling for was kind of like a Best Buy before they became Best Buy, all right? They're an older company. They went out of business in 2003. But I started selling off, basically cordless phones, when the phones that are still attached to the home, okay? Maybe some have them. Maybe all of our phones have been replaced by smartphones and cell phones. That's cool. I sold first and second generation cell phones when cell phones started to become more accepted, when they got more reasonable pricing plans and the phones became smaller, okay? I have also sold car stereos, home theaters, computers, basically anything for the home, including washers, dryers, refrigerators, so on and so forth. That's where I started selling, okay? That's called retail, okay? Then from retail, I went to professional sales. I sold manufactured homes. Now, I'm not talking about the stuff that you see here locally. Manufactured homes are homes that are assembled in a facility, maybe in part, and then assembled at the place, okay? You generally don't roll these in on wheels on their own frame, okay, like a trailer, but these are trailered in and moved to the spot, right? And I also worked with a little bit of real estate, so on and so forth, right? It turns out that although I was a good salesperson, that wasn't the right fit for me because I was still young at the time, and a lot of people who were trying to get into these homes that cost, let's be honest, over at the time, almost $200,000, weren't willing to make that in kind of investment from a young 20-something, okay? And then, of course, I have sold cars and automobiles and even the traditional manufactured home like you see here locally, all right? So I have some professional sales experience, and I learned a lot about banking and credit and so on and so forth in that process, because that was part of the requirement, right? To get finance deals together for these people if they requested it, right? I provided technical support, okay, whether it was on the phone or directly, all right, whether that was working for Dell or HP or working for my own in college. I put together some computers and sold to people and service computers as a way to put a little bit of extra money in my pocket. So if somebody was having a problem with their printer, basically little IT stuff and little networking stuff at the home, what have you, I took care of that for them, right? And I can still do that if I so choose, right? But I choose not to because I got a lot of things going on, right? So I choose not to do that part of the business anymore, right? But, that was one of the fields that I was considering for a brief moment was, do I want to go into the world of information technology, okay? And I decided that at the time, maybe that wasn't the best path for me, which was fine, okay? We all have different lives that go elsewhere, and that's kind of cool, right? I've ignited business ventures and provided business planning, okay, for car dealerships, for auto parts stores, for mom and pop stores, okay, and for some medium businesses, right? And I will advise on a regular basis, and I'll consult, and I'll ask questions, and I'll learn, right? And I'll give ideas, investment ideas, so on and so forth, from the stuff that I've learned over the past, okay, and been presented with, all right? So many of the companies that I have done my business plans with are still in operation, but there are some that chose to deviate from that plan, and they're not doing as well as they could be, or some have gone out of business for various reasons, usually because of lack of marketing. We're going to talk about marketing a little bit later on in another unit, in our marketing unit, right? I currently own and operate On the Mic Entertainment. Mr. C, if you own your own business, how come you aren't doing that and you are teaching? Well, just because you're a business owner doesn't mean you can make all ends meet by just running that business, okay? You have to make business decisions, okay? Right now, On the Mic Entertainment pays me very minimal, okay? About half of a part-time job, okay? And that's its current state, okay? And that's just the way the entertainment business works, okay? But with On the Mic Entertainment, I went ahead and I've signed a couple artists. I've worked with artists. I've coached artists. I signed one artist to a distribution deal and a recording deal, and that artist can be found on various distribution networks. And maybe we'll discuss that one day, right? Amazon, iTunes. You can stream them on Spotify or what have you, okay? Same thing with my personal music, okay? And right now, the biggest venture that I have going on is Mike's Motorworks, which is my YouTube channel. In fact, we're going to do a few lessons about growing our YouTube channels and such, if that's something that you're interested in, all right? So I will do a couple lessons because people are interested in the YouTube world, and they're kind of interested in see what it takes. I am currently monetized on YouTube, right? So, hey, that makes me automatically, my channel and the service that I offer on YouTube, more sought after and desired than many of the channels that are out there. And I'll get the statistics when we go over our lesson on that. And we'll do a couple lessons. It'll be fun. All right, so as far as education is concerned, yes, all right, I did go, and I said earlier, I didn't have a few years out where I was in the career world, decided that I needed to get college educated, went to what is now Florida Gateway College out here. It used to be called Lake City Community College, and then I transferred to the University of Miami, where I received my Bachelor of Music in Music Business and Entertainment. And then I received my minor in business administration. Now, that minor in business administration says, all right, Mr. C, you've got the time in now. You've got the classes. You took what it takes. You could teach business. Cool. All right. And, after a couple of setbacks, I found myself in the teaching world, right? Now, here recently, I decided to apply for a master's degree, and I recently received my master's degree from St. Leo University in Education Leadership. That basically means that every single principal and assistant principal has education leadership degree, and I am currently certified, according to the state of Florida, to be an assistant principal if I chose, or I can find that job opening. Okay, here locally there wasn't that opportunity, so I am here with you guys this year. Okay, but if something were to happen, I have to make business decisions, okay? And sometimes, hey, that's part of the world that's out there, right? But here's the deal. I tell you all of this, not to say, hey, I'm leaving, or hey, I'm great. I am telling you all this because you are working with a good and competent instructor who knows what they're doing, who knows what they're talking about in the classroom and in the real work world, all right? So again, it's kind of like going to that lawyer who really practices law, who studies it and knows it, all right? A whole lot better than that person who maybe just took a couple of legal classes in high school, all right? So let's talk about our mission statement. All right, we're actually going to write a mission statement. Not right now, though, okay? We're actually going to do that in our marketing unit, and I'm going to explain more in details, but here's what basically a mission statement is. A mission statement is something that a company may use to tell its customers how they will operate or tell their employees how the business intends to operate, okay? Usually a mission statement consists of a vision and a mission, okay? A vision means here's what we want to do, okay? We want to do this. The mission says here's how we are going to do it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read this one, and then I'm going to get to a quick little pause here for just a few seconds to let Mr. C go over some information if we're in the classroom, all right? But if we're not in the classroom, when I get to the pause, just go ahead and keep forwarding with the video if you came to the class later. All right, Mr. Cato's vision for the classroom is to educate students on the skills and tools needed for a modern and ever-changing workforce. Let's be honest, okay? When I was in high school and I got my first part-time jobs, the workforce was a little bit different. The accepted practices were a little bit different. The information available was different. Doesn't mean it was better. Doesn't mean it was worse. It was different, okay? People think, oh, we're much better than we were a couple years ago. We're different, not better or worse, okay? We're different, all right? So, again, everything is always in a constant state of change. The things that you used to do in business, maybe you can't do anymore, especially in the world of marketing. Businesses can't say what they used to. People can't say what they can't used to in the role of leadership, right? And there's a lot of things that are constantly changing, okay? Even today, something that you said 20 years ago can be held against you, even though you currently don't believe it, okay? All right? It's happening out there, okay? But again, that's something that's changed. A few years ago, we would have said, well, that's what you thought when you were this age. That's no big deal. Again, it's different. Not better, but different. Okay? Now, his mission, all right, is to enable this by providing relevant instruction, by maintaining high expectations of his students, by being a role model, and by assuming that all students will grow with the information, practices, and strategies needed for the real-world working environment. All right, Mr. C, go ahead and take a quick time out here, and I'm going to take a quick time out here, but Mr. C, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and pause this video and go ahead and discuss certain key elements from that lower paragraph, please. All right, thank you very much, Mr. C. Alrighty, so let's see here. School-wide lab expectations. Okay, so there are certain things that are expected whether you're on school or in a school lab. All right, this is a school lab. Okay, not a science lab, okay, but a school lab. It's a computer lab, okay? That's how it was originally designed. A bunch of desktop computers, so on and so forth, okay? So it is a computer lab. All right, so you can see that top statement right there. I don't need to reread that, all right? But we could basically summarize our lab expectations as focus on learning, all right? That's why we're here. That's why we're in school, okay? That's why we are compensated as teachers and administrators and why we have a complete service staff to help with learning needs and cleanliness and the way the campus looks, so on and so forth, right? So that you guys can focus on learning. That's why you're here. You're not here to discuss the latest drama with your friends, okay? Although it's a convenience to do that when you guys are together, right? The real purpose of being in school is to have some social interaction, but to really focus on learning, all right? To help you guys contribute to the future. That's why the taxpayers pay us. That's why there's taxes set aside for public education, right? So that you can learn how to contribute to society, right? And my goal is to help you contribute to the society in your careers and in your futures, right? So we're going to focus on learning. We're going to act responsibly. Look, there's a whole bunch of us here, all right? This campus has over 1,000 students that it serves, all right? Over 500 7th graders, over 500 8th graders. If we're going to be together, we got to act responsibly, all right? And we got people of different sizes and different thinking processes, and, you know, some people who are more sensitive than others, and some people who are, you know, solid walls as far as the way they handle their emotions, right? But we got to act responsibly, okay? We're going to lead by positive example. Yes, you can lead by negative example, and that's not a good thing, and that'll get you in trouble, right? But we want to lead positively with positive leadership, right? We want to go ahead and come to class because you cannot focus on learning if you are not in class. class, all right? Just like, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but think about it, right? When you get your first job somewhere, they're going to expect you to clock in and clock out before, your shift, okay? Not too far before, not too far, afterwards, right? But right around your time you're supposed to be there, right? So why do they do that? Because they need you there at the expected time, okay? Same thing here. I need you in the classroom at the expected time. We're going to talk more about that here in a few moments. All right, so you got to come to class, you got to be on time, all right? Again, be respectful, so never bully, all righty? And of course, show respect. And as you can see, we got a anagram for Falcons, okay? Now, let me go ahead and get into this one. This is really awesome, all right? As I told you earlier, okay, Mr. C has a lot of real-world working experience, all right? And some vacation experience and some life experience, right? So one day, I was in New Orleans with a group of people, and we were exploring the area, and we had taken the local, they call the trolley or the tram, down from the downtown area of New Orleans and started working our way to the War Museum and so on and so forth in the southern part of New Orleans, all right? And on the way there, we stopped for a lunch, and we stopped by a place called Cafe Reconcile. Now, when I walked into Cafe Reconcile, it was a very well-lit restaurant. Nice light wood floors, not dark, white tablecloths, light furniture, so it wasn't a dark setting, it was a very modern setting, right? There were a lot of paintings on the wall from local artists, and it looked very modern, right? Very clean, okay? The staff was well kempt in their white, okay, outfits. You could clearly tell who the waiters and waitresses were and who the chefs were. In the back, the chefs were in their white, right? And out and about, the waitresses and waiters were in black, okay? Typical of a higher or classier restaurant. But there was something that didn't quite belong in the restaurant. And I saw this sign, the one that you see on the screen here. It says 8 Habits of Success. And when I was looking at it and I was reading on it, I was like, why do we have to tell professional people about the 8 habits of success, right? And I went to go take a picture of it because I thought it would be useful in the classroom. And a lady stopped me and said, hey, you can't take pictures in here and so on and so forth. And I said, well, I was curious about the sign here. And she said, well, yeah, we're a rehabilitation facility. And that's why we can't have the pictures, so on and so forth. And I went, oh. Here's what she meant by rehabilitation facility, okay? Usually, rehabilitation facilities are rehabbing people who don't know how to do something or have been court-ordered to do something. Okay, so think about that for a second, okay? Let me use 2 examples, okay? Let's say that somebody hasn't really held on to a job, okay? And maybe they've gotten in trouble with the law, okay? They are court-ordered to go ahead and serve somewhere to get rehab back to where they can hold a solid career and keep constant work, okay? And they are trained, okay, to do this. Because, you guys get training here, but there are adults out there who don't have the training or maybe need to relearn something, all right? Or what if this? Hey, you got 2 options, okay? You're sitting in front of a judge and you're told, hey, you got 2 options. I can either send you to prison or we can get you some help, get you back out in the work world, all right? And I need you to serve some time at a workplace to help you learn and relearn how to work, okay? Or maybe, hey, you've got multiple kids, you never really had a job before, and, you get the idea, okay? This place was designed to help people get back on their feet, whether by court order or whether by a legal authority, okay? So they have the 8 habits of success that they make each and every team member or employee memorize. So these people are there by court order, but they're also getting paid. It's their job, right? And at any point, a manager who helps run the restaurant could say, give me 8 habits of success, number 5, and the person should be able to repeat it to them, all right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and go over this, and then we're going to think about, okay, well, that makes sense, okay, and let's apply this to the restaurant. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at my basic expectations for the classroom here and figure out how these kind of intertwine with each other. Alrighty, so here we go. Be on time. Look, we just said you got to come to class. You got to come to class on time, right? All right, I'm going to have a rule there that sounds really harsh, but look, let's be honest, okay? If you're not in class, you're not doing what you're supposed to, right? If you run to work late, okay, and you say like you're a waitress here, okay, and you have somewhere to be. Let me phrase that. And that waitress has somewhere to be, right? Let me get back up. Okay. You're running late. You're serving the night shift. Okay. You have a person who's ready to leave for the day and they can't because you haven't shown up yet. All right. But they have a doctor's appointment. They have the kids waiting. Maybe the babysitter's there and it's charging them or something, right? They need to leave. If you're not there, you are inconveniencing them. Okay. 2, right? You are leaving the staff with minimal staff, because let's be honest, the business isn't going to bring on more people and cost themselves more money, because more people you bring on board, it costs money. Okay, so with that in mind, okay, you got to be on time. You got to be where you're asked to be, whether it's in the kitchen or anywhere else. Again, restaurant setting. Okay. All right, you got to be present all day, every day. You cannot just come in, clock out, and leave. Okay, you cannot be out in the back talking to your friend from work, all right, while they're on their break, while you're supposed to be working and getting paid. You got to be present. You got to be there, all right, every day that you are told to be there, all right. How about this one? Accept and follow directions. Look, sometimes we're asked to do things that quite frankly suck. Okay, they are no good. Okay, and they, it's no fun. Maybe you're told to mop the floor, or maybe you're told to go and clean the freezer, or let's, sort out and get rid of the bad food in the freezer. Maybe you're told to empty the ice, and that ice has gotten a little funky because it wasn't cleaned out the night before, or something like that, right? Sometimes the directions are not fun, right? But what about serving food to people? Let's be honest, okay? If the safe serve temperature of chicken and chicken breast for a chicken sandwich is 140 degrees, are you going to serve that chicken at 120? No, because it will be undercooked and it will be raw. Okay? Even if you're working at McDonald's and you decide that you want to now I want to leave the Big Mac sauce off of this and I'm just going to put ketchup and mustard, right? Then you no longer have a Big Mac, do you? Okay? So you get the idea. Accept and follow directions. Accept them, even though they stink, right? How about this one? Work well with others even when it's difficult. Are you going to get along with everybody? No. Do you get along with everybody now? No. Do you think that's going to change when you get older? No, it does not. Okay? So work well with others even if it is difficult. All right? Focus on the goal. Have a positive, not negative attitude towards the work that's being done. I'm not saying, oh, yay, we get to write an essay, or oh, yay, I get to mop the floor. No, it's not that. Think, okay, this is helping everybody else, all right? If I'm doing this, then everybody else can keep working and not slip on the floor and hurt themselves, right? So I'm going to mop the floor, right? It's going to be a good attitude. You got it. Yes, sir. I'm here to serve, okay? Because that's what the restaurant business is. It's in the service industry, right? So have a positive, not negative attitude towards the work. Take care of personal appearance every day. Hey, that's one of the reasons we have dress codes here at LCMS, right? To take care of personal appearance, right? And there's various reasons for that, okay? But look, when I said that they walked into the restaurant, okay, and there was everybody in their uniform colors and uniform outfits, it looked really professional, okay? And you weren't questioning, hey, these people don't have clothes, or maybe these people don't have the right outfits, so on and so forth. It was provided for them, right? But here in public schools, we got to make sure that we're not a distraction and, that we're doing things appropriately, right? And then, of course, get things done with the expected time. Look, if somebody says, hey, I need this done in an hour, they don't mean 2 hours, okay? They don't mean 3 hours. They want it done within the expected time, okay? Serving their food. Look, is a customer going to be upset if they're not served their food in 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever the time is? Usually 15 to 20 minutes is that usual wait time where customers start getting, how long is it going to be? Unless they are told specifically to take their time, okay, and the waiting staff is told to take their time, usually people got that 20-minute wait period, okay? So if you're longer than that, they're going to get a little bit grumpy, okay? So be aware of that. And, of course, do a quality job at each and every task. Think about it. If you're serving food to somebody, they want it to look a certain way. If something is just thrown together and it looks like it, do you think they're going to find value in it? Absolutely not. I think they're going to be enjoyable. Well, it tastes the same. It's not about the taste. It's also the presentation. Again, food is an art. Okay? So, you do a quality job at each and every task. Okay? So let's think about these rules and let's apply them to what Mr. C has as expectations. Now, before I go into this, okay, I know that a current trend in the classroom is to determine your own rules as a class and what makes sense as a class. Well, that's cool, okay? And that's great. And that works for some classes. But do you think you're going to be able to determine your own rules when you get to the business world? Or do you think you're going to have to follow what the business says? If you're thinking the latter, in other words, what the business says and what the business rules are, you're right. Alrighty? So let's look at the couple of the expectations that Mr. C has for this classroom. 1, clock management. Be at your workstation, seated and working when the bell rings. Look, there's no reason to be up and about. There's no reason to be talking to your friends. There's no reason why I should say get to your seat when that bell rings. You should already be doing it. That's automatic. That's part of clocking in. Okay? So I'm going to talk about clocking in here in a few minutes later on with like pay and compensation and such. All right? But yeah, be at your station, seated and working when the bell rings. All right? Pretty simple. All righty? Working relationships. Be respectful to your peers, yourself, and the instructor. Now, being respectful to your peers is an obvious one. We're going to focus a lot of that this year, especially in my classroom. I always focus on respect. But why would I put focus and be respectful to yourself? All right? Because Mr. C sometimes here, I'm working with somebody, Mr. C, I just can't do this. The boxes keep moving around and I can't do this because I'm just not good with computers. Well, you're not being respectful to yourself because you're saying you're not good with computers and you're using it as an excuse. All right? Give it an honest try and keep working. Things don't happen overnight. It's not like you're going to do it for 20 minutes and become an expert at it. All right, it's going to take time, but you're going to get better and better and better at it. Okay? Additionally, I hear students say, Mr. C, I can't do this because I'm just not smart. Dude, all right? You are plenty smart. There's plenty of opportunities to learn, and that's why we are here, so that you can learn, all right? So, again, be respectful to yourself. You are a capable individual, and there's nothing that I'll ask of you that you can't do, okay? I promise you that. All right, property management. It says asset. Asset's another word for property. Treat the property in this room responsibly and use the utmost care to prevent accidental damage or distractions. Plain and simple, don't be writing on my stuff. Don't be popping keys off, okay? And then definitely don't be on sites that you're not authorized to be on. And we'll talk more about that later on in the week, okay? Quality of work. How about this one? Be diligent. In other words, put forth your best effort towards the work you produce, the information you absorb, and the working environment. I don't want something turned into me that says, that's good enough. No. I want your best, all right? Good people, leaders, put forth their best always, okay? So just be aware of that, all right? Now, if it's what the same thing you do for your core classes and you're giving me the equal love, great, okay? If that's what you do for everybody else, great. But I think, sometimes students just turn into something to me and say, that's good enough. It's just Mr. C's business class. I'm just doing this to satisfy him. And boom, there you go. I already got an A here, so I don't need to do that good. No. Do your best, right? And, just try to stay focused as much as possible. And, of course, follow directions the first time they are given, not the second time, not the third time, because you're going to find out that Mr. C. Hates, repeating, himself. Get the idea? All righty. So follow directions the first time they are given. We're in 8th grade. You're going into high school. You're getting ready for the work world. A manager shouldn't have to ask you multiple times to do something. Your boss or your coworker shouldn't ask you multiple times to do something. All right. Hey, let's do it. Let's make it happen. All right. Let's get it done. All righty. So, other guidelines here. Let's take a look and see here. Emergencies and safety. All right, Mr. C, this is one of those points where I'm going to go ahead and stop and pause and let you take over for just a quick second. Okay, so if you want to pause the video, that'd be a great time to do it. Thank you, Mr. C. All right, so with the emergencies and safeties covered, let's see here. Stay seated unless otherwise instructed. Look, emergencies happen, okay? I get it. All right, that's fine. All right, go to the tissues. Go get the tissues. I'll point out. I probably won't even say anything. If you're doing one of these, all right, there's tissues. I'm going to point towards where the tissues are at, right? There you go. And don't be up and around, Mr. C, I had to sharpen my pencil, so I had to get up. I had to throw this away, Mr. C. No, you didn't. Ask, okay? It helps keep things free from distractions, right? Remember, we're not wanting to create distractions for other people because people are wanting to learn. People are wanting to do things around here, all right? So there we go. So stay seated unless otherwise instructed. Another point where Mr. C is going ahead, and I'm going to explain here, but Mr. C might want to actually demonstrate where they are. All right, this year my room is a little bit different, but I still have some no entry zones where I don't want students, all right? The primary no entry zone is my desk, all right? Yes, I have my phone back there, and my little desk in the corner by the door for the inside hallway, right? Don't be over there, okay? Buy around the printer, so on and so forth. You shouldn't be messing with anything over there. That's my personal property. I don't want you over there, okay? And that includes also my little rolly desk. Don't be near my little rolly desk, okay? I'm using my little rolly desk now. You can't see it, but my little rolly desk, just stay away from it because I got attendance and I got some other things on here. I'm trying to be a little bit different this year. I've eliminated one no entry zone and for everybody, okay? But and for those that used to have me, that's in the front corner. Okay, so that no entry zone is now available for entry. And of course, the closet. Don't be in the closet. There's no reason to be in there unless I say, hey, go get a tissue, so on and so forth. If you need a tissue, all right, or you know, that's really the only reason to be in there. You know, just pull the door open, leave the light on, honk your nose, call it a day, and there you go. All right. Please, no food or gum. All right. Yeah, absolutely no food. We are in Florida, and this is a government building. Okay, so the buggies do come. All right, and the more food you leave out, the more chances are that somebody's going to scream, "Ah, roach!" Okay, we don't want a roach. All right, we don't want bugs. This is Florida. We do get bugs, but the more food that's on the floor, the more the bugs come. All right, so please, no food. Gum, if you're respectful of it. Okay. However, if we are disrespectful of the gum, okay, it's going to go. If I find it on the floor, it's going to go. You get the idea. If it actually comes out of your mouth and chewing on okay, pick it up. All right, plain and simple. All right, because you're going to ruin it for everybody else. All right, I don't want to be going around and oh look, I'm stuck to the floor. Okay, I don't want that. All right. Let's see, 3 restroom breaks or emergency passes per quarter. Just 3. Now, if you're thinking, oh, Mr. C, that's not fair. Yeah, there are other teachers who only give you 1 per quarter. Okay, I'm giving you 3. All right. Again, I will be picky on when I use it. Please, no passes 10 minutes after the bell rings or 10 minutes before the bell rings. Plain and simple. Use it in the middle, and preferably if I'm going over something and you ask me to use the restroom, I'm going to tell you no. I have something to say. However, if we're watching videos or we're doing something online or you're doing an activity, sure. Okay, if you haven't used your 3 passes yet. All right? Pretty easy there. And of course, treat this as on-the-job training. Let me spend a moment here, okay? On-the-job training is exactly what it sounds like. You are training while you are on the job, okay? Usually on-the-job training, you'll get paid less than you were if you were a professional and you are learning, okay? You are still clocking in. You are still doing jobs. You are still doing tasks. You are still working, and you are being compensated for that, okay? Now, what you are being compensated with is monetary capital. If you're going, Mr. C, what's monetary capital? Money, okay? Capital is something that you have that you can invest into something else with, okay? Monetary, and this happens to be monetary, all right? In other words, the key word of monetary means money, all right? So money, capital that you can invest in, right? That's what we're invest with or exchange with, right? That's what you are paid while on the job, okay? In my classroom, you are getting paid with intellectual and professional capital, okay? That means that you are learning things from me. You are gaining capital. And while it might not be a paycheck, you are still being compensated with capital, okay? Intelligence, things that you could bring to your next jobs, your next classes, or in the 8th grade, your careers in high school or your future careers, all right? You are learning things that can set you above and beyond other students, okay? Really, really cool stuff. So again, you're being compensated with intellectual and professional capital while training on the job, okay? So there we go. All right, so some basic things here. Usually if someone decides to break an expectation or chooses not to follow expectations, look, I'm pretty lenient. I'm pretty easy to get along with, and often I don't have to be grumpy, but when I get grumpy, it can be kind of loud and very abrasive, all right? All right, I don't want to be that guy. I like being fun. I like having fun, all right? I don't like being the abrasive guy and the rude guy, okay? However, okay, things happen and sometimes we forget, all right? So in that case, there's usually some verbal warnings, maybe a discipline writing assignment, maybe some contact home, and maybe a referral sent to the office, all right? I have a guideline I have to follow that's been provided with me by Mr. Shoup and Miss Mullins, okay? Our assistant principal and our BRT, okay? However, okay, things can be changed as needed as such and as seen fit, okay? Usually, though, if I write a referral, they go, oh, this came from Mr. C. Do you think they know what my background is and how I am in my class? And I've been teaching here for like how many years? And I have that master's degree and I want to be an assistant principal. If you get one from me, oh my goodness, they're going to do whatever they have to do, okay? They're not going to guess. They're not going to do anything else. It's going to be, oh, Mr. C sent this. There we go. All righty. So there we go. All right. I'll leave this on here and we'll cover this in a little bit more detail a little bit later on this week. All right, what do you need to bring? Your mind and attention. Yeah, pretty much. All right. I'm a digitally driven classroom, okay? And that's really, really awesome. And so, just being here is great. I usually don't use standard school supplies and things like that. And students haven't really needed a flash drive in years because of general internet access and time in other classes and Chromebook access and so on and so forth. However, I do recommend an inexpensive pair of earbuds or headphones. They have to be wired. Okay, these are not wireless and what have you. Okay, and then of course your mind and attention. All right. Occasionally I use paper and pencil, but not very often. All right, and when I do, I think you guys will like the results when I do use it. I promise to give you all the questions and the answers for your midterm and your final. So that covers what to bring. Alrighty, so next slide here. We get to go over. Again, remember this is on the job training. We talked about that last slide. All right, so grading policy. Grading is really, really easy in here. Let me be honest with you. The only reason that you're getting a C or lower in my class is if you're not doing your work, all right? So I put all of classwork, all of participation in quizzes, and all bell ringers as 50% of the grade, okay? 10% for bell ringers, and then 50% for classwork and participation, right? Now, the other 50% is made up with tests or projects. Now, classwork, participation, and quizzes and bell ringers are a lot more frequent than tests and projects, all right? We only do a few big projects a quarter, okay? So basically, if you do a whole lot of this area right here, okay, and maybe you don't do as well over here, you could still balance things out, okay? And there will be an extra opportunity for you available during the first week to really help pump up this section right here, all right? So basically, I'm looking for 100% of your effort. Again, just do your work and you'll be fine, okay? Another side note, all my work is due for me on Friday. In other words, all your work is due on Friday, unless otherwise noted by projects, okay? Usually projects, I might have a special date depending on how things kind of roll, but I do my best to try to abide by just turn it in by Friday. Even if you're not here, turn it in by Friday. All right, so a couple of quick things here. Leadership can be a combination of empowering others, or making sure that you have the power to do what you need. It could be developing skills. It could be creating motivation. It could be taking responsibility, building teams, or working as a team. Communicating your ideas and making sure people understand it, because communication is no good if people don't understand it. Make sure that there is competence involved and make sure there's plenty of support available, right? So your efforts plus my coaching and instructing, right, we can be successful. All right, so that brings me to the end of this presentation. I hope you got something from there. And at this point, if it's later on in the day, we got something to do, or if it's later on in the class, we got something to do. If it's too late, though, we might take a time out on that. But anyway, we'll go ahead and roll forward, and I'll let Mr. C take over from here. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you on the next lesson.